Happy New Year. How are you guys doing? It's 2019 now. In all honesty, I'm really excited for what the future holds of 2019. I went on a whole spiel on my Snapchat saying I was really excited for the year. I'm gonna shoot my shot at this person I was interested in. And then literally like an hour later, I found out she got a boyfriend a day or two ago. And then someone leaked my depression on YouTube, and here's a clip of that. Oh my god! Oh jeez, oh my god! So 2019's off to a great start. So if you guys remember, January 1st, 2018, I released a video called the Nintendo 3DS in 2018 and why you should homebrew. Now here it is, 2019, and the 3DS is still somewhat relevant. First, we're going to get into the relevancy of the Nintendo 3DS with the Nintendo Switch in the world as well, and we're going to then be going deeper into the video. Why should you buy a 3DS in 2019? You got 150 bucks. You've got enough money to get a Nintendo 2DS XL. You have plenty to get, say, for example, a Nintendo 2DS, or just a basic 3DS or something. However, that's only half of the price of a Nintendo Switch. Do you save up to double that to get a Nintendo Switch, or do you get a 3DS? If you're stuck at the price point of 150 bucks, then absolutely I still think you should get a Nintendo 3DS. Now you're probably going to ask, why? The Switch is about to be 2 years old, and the 3DS is 7 years old now, because it's 2019. Wait, no, it's pretty much 8 years old now, because it's 2019. If you sit still for just a second, I'm gonna answer that for you, okay? Both systems have now been relevant for a while, long enough for them to say that they are a mild success. Well, actually, no, these are two major successes so far. However, this thing has been around for way longer and therefore has the much bigger library of games in comparison to the Nintendo Switch. What games does Nintendo 3DS that's really popular in comparison to the Switch? If you're going for a multiplayer experience, you're obviously going to purchase the Nintendo Switch over the 3DS. However, I still believe that the Nintendo 3DS is the ideal way to go if you, one, don't have enough money to save up for the Switch, and two, if you want to get a really good single-player game experience out of this. So, we've established you want to get a Nintendo 3DS in 2019. How do you go into having the best Nintendo 3DS experience? This is where hacking comes into play. If you guys remember back at the beginning of 2018 and at the end of 2017, I mentioned that getting custom firmware, or homebrew for that fact, was a lot more strenuous and more difficult and financially unstable than previous versions and also now. Back in late 2017 and early 2018, in order to get your hands on homebrew, if you didn't have a really old 3DS firmware, was that you had to basically pay a heavy amount of money for a game that Nintendo no longer sold themselves, and you had to rely on scalpers through eBay and so on and so forth. Now, it's 2019. We are no longer on firmwares 11.5 and 11.6. We're now on 11.8 and 11.9. These are very much easier ways of getting the ideal 3DS experience through hacking your system. You no longer need to pay money as opposed to just buying the 3DS. You still obviously need a 3DS to do this. I'm not going to be going over how exactly you do this process on this video. If you guys want me to in the future, let me know. In the meantime, I'm going to link Jack Sorrell in the description. He is a fantastic 3DS hacking guy, and the place I go to whenever I look up tutorials and stuff. On 11.8 and 11.9, you no longer have to pay a pretty penny for a specific game title or any type of software for your system in order to get custom firmware. It's now 100% free. Now, what can you basically get with this custom firmware? Now, there's a bit of a few changes. Only one big change, in all honesty, that has been affected, and I'm going to be talking about that right now. If you guys remember, there's a popular thing in the hacking community of the Nintendo 3DS known as the Free Shop. Free Shop was used in order to basically get games for free that cost money on the regular eShop. Hackers managed to find the title key website where Nintendo was holding these softwares and basically convert them all to CIA ROMs. And basically, if you put that URL into the Free Shop software, you can effectively get the entire 3DS library for free. As of, I believe, late summer and early fall of 2018, Free Shop has been murdered, for lack of a better term. If you even try to load up the Free Shop now, it just says rest in pieces, I think from 2014 to 2018. and that kind of sucks. I remember saying last year, I don't condone piracy of the sorts, mainly because I don't want to get in trouble if you guys somehow brick your systems by watching my video. I still don't condone it, but at the same time, I really don't care if you go out and do it yourself. But if you brick your console doing so, you're not allowed to blame me. I'm just saying that straightforward. However, that doesn't stop 3DS pirates. There are still plenty of ways to get games for free. So many ways. For example, there was an outbreak with the Bowser's Inside Story DX thing in Japan that was literally 3 days ago, where basically all it took was one person to dump the game, and then one other guy converted it to a CIA, put it on the internet, and now I'm able to play it, the Japanese version, on my 3DS. So yeah, if you really look hard enough, you can still find, like, free CIA ROMs of 3DS games, and you can still put them on your system. It's just not as convenient as it used to be. Speaking of being able to play Japanese games on my 3DS, when you apply custom firmware to your system, that officially makes it region-free. A lot of people are confused as to what region-free means. It means that, if, say for example, the 3DS in this case, it's a system that is not, it's region-locked, basically. If you purchase a 3DS from the Americas, you can only play US games. If you get it from Japan, you cannot play US games, you can only play games imported from Japan, and so on and so forth. What region free does is completely block that out. Once you get custom firmware on this thing, you can play any game from Japan, Australia, fucking anywhere, I don't give a shit. And it works on, say, your American 3DS. What else can you do with the Nintendo 3DS now that you've managed to hack into it? Custom themes is probably one of the biggest things of modding a 3DS, and adds a lot more personality to your system. Nintendo, back at the end of 2014 and entering 2015, started to do custom themes by purchasing them, such as microtransactions in a way, from the Nintendo eShop, where you basically had to pay $1 or $2 for a static theme, and it just stayed on your 3DS. If you wanted to, you can make it play music. That was it. $1 to $2 for a still image on the back of your 3DS. Isn't that amazing? Now, obviously, when you hack your system, you can do this for free, which is awesome. You can put custom themes for free. This also means you can also pirate the Nintendo ones that cost money, which is also just a kick in the pants to Nintendo, which I find hilarious. Now, this means that you can make your own custom themes as well. Back in January, when Uganda Knuckles was still a meme, I made a custom theme of that and put that on my 3DS for like a month. And then February came around and it was like, yeah, it's not that funny anymore. So yeah, custom themes, 100% something that you should do. In all honesty, that's pretty much it when it comes to hacking the Nintendo 3DS, or at least the top of my mind. I know I should write a script for this sort of shit, but like, I don't do that because I don't like writing scripts for stuff. It takes the creativity out of my brain, and I don't like doing that. Actually, there's one more thing that is actually exclusive to the new 3DS and new 2DS XL when it comes to hacking in comparison to the older versions. If you have, say, a new Nintendo 2DS XL, for example, you can actually wirelessly stream your system to a computer if you're connected to Wi-Fi on this thing, at least. It basically saves you between $250 and $500 to get a capture card installed onto your Nintendo 3DS. Now, I should warn you guys, though this does work, it's not the most trustworthy thing to use. It's very choppy, the frame rate's all buckety. It's like really... only do it if you don't have a capture card 3DS. I don't feel the need to use this, so I still use my small 3DS, which is why I got custom firmware on it in the first place. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's all you can really do with the hacked Nintendo 3DS. And where do we see the Nintendo 3DS in the future? I personally believe this is the final year of the 3DS. I said last year, 2018, was the deathbed of the 3DS. This was where we were going to leave it behind, and everything else was going to be for the Switch. Apparently not, because, well, Bowser's Inside Story DX is still yet to come out in the Americas, as well as Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn, a port of the Wii version of Kirby's Epic Yarn. I don't remember if there's any more 3DS games after that, but if there are, no one knows what they are. This is going to be the final year of the 3DS, I promise you. And that's furthermore giving you a reason to buy one of these things in the first place. I mean, I still need to complete my 3DS collection, so I went to GameStop and picked up a 2DS because I need to complete my collection. The only thing I need left is a new 3DS Small, as opposed to the new 3DS XL. I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. I hope you guys had a fantastic New Year's, as well as just a amazing Christmas break, or have happy Hanukkah, or whatever you guys celebrate. Since I have recently purchased a Nintendo 2DS, a lot of you guys actually comment on, say, my Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS tutorials on, like, can you please go more in depth on doing this certain step for hacking the 3DS in this way. I'm gonna put a straw poll in the description. It's gonna be a basic yes or no. Basically, after 72 hours of this video, 3 days after this video comes out, I'm gonna be looking at the results of the straw poll, basically saying if you guys want me to put custom firmware on a Nintendo 2DS over live stream. Now, yes, that means I'm gonna have to drive out to the store and pick up an SD card and shit like that. And yes, that's a little bit of money out of my pocket, but you know what, that's perfectly fine. If you guys want me to do that, I will 100% do that for you guys. Alright guys, I'll see you later. Peace out.